in there, and then
Okay.
they do the shooting, and then they go further inside, and the Dieter sees the dead bodies, right? And then he says, he's trying to cut the bars. Who would do that? It's so stupid. He says that, right? And the person who died beside the bars was Vanderho, and he had some sort of saw in his hand, and he was pointing that out and saying, "Who would try to cut it? It's so stupid, right?" And who's beside him? Vanderho. And then he just explains the whole thing to him. He says, "What if it's us from a previous timeline, caught in an infinite loop, death and rebirth?" And he says all that shit, and then um, he said at the end, "Boom!" And then he blasts the thing, right? So from what when we see that, it seems like he's just fucking with his head, like he's always doing, and he's also basically fucking with our head by saying all that shit, right? Because that's the stuff that would probably happen if you see dead bodies who looked like our characters, right? So what if the other layer deeper inside there is that they want us to think that they're fucking with us by having it there? What if some sort of timeline or time loop thing is actually happening there? Because one of the things that, okay, so the clothes are very similar, and all the characters kind of look the same, and then Scott's character, the way he died, with the head up, and he's exactly like that in the dead body too. But then the one thing that I cannot overlook is the key that Maria Cruz's character had, and she had four holes inside the key, but the dead body there had just three holes. This is where the fourth timeline, or the fourth thing, comes into play, right? So people are saying that there's too many four references in the movie. There's the four horsemen. There's the Liberace at the beginning saying one, two. Okay, so one more thing that I noticed with the Liberace is he says one, two, three, and then while he says four, he does like this, the hand gesture. He points downwards. So could that mean this is the fourth timeline? Is that what his hand gesture means? So there's that, and then there's other things with four, and a lot of stuff like that would. There's also a snooker ball on the table, and when we see Vandero for the first time, they're talking, right? Scott and Cruz and Vandero. We see a snooker table, and the only ball facing towards us has the number four on it. So there's a lot of stuff like that, which suggests that four is kind of an important number in this movie. Um, but the key thing is the most important and the most telling thing to me, at least, that one would have three holes, and then the one who is in the present has four holes. That says something to me. I don't know about you guys.
Ascendant.
Honestly, this whole thing of fours, I don't know. I don't really know about the whole time loop theory because it just look the whole thing comes from just him saying that one thing of we're in this infinite time loop, but it also does feel like he's just messing with them because these people have the same similar clothing. For all Bly was the one that said, "Hey, wear these stuff." I don't know about. I don't know if I buy the outlook. I would love for that to be the true thing that's going on because the characters are so great. Like Guzman, I mean, how can you not love him? Samantha's character, they're all just so great, and I would love to see them again, but in a way where, where they survive.
Yeah.
But I just cannot see the time loop theory happening. But then on another side, I can because I feel like maybe it's not even a time loop. Maybe it's people going to the future and they're coming back. It could just be that because as I said before, like I was thinking that maybe Van is Zeus, and he's just from the future. He lived it. He came back. I don't know. Who knows? Oh God! Now I just realized people say that aliens are from the future, or it could be people from the future coming back to watch us. What if he was one, and then he came back, and I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. There's just so much to this. There's just so much, man.
Like,
that's where I come in from this movie point of view too. Like I think that there's something related to time happening and timelines or something like that. I don't know if it's exactly time loop, and I think that it definitely isn't time loop because the traditional type of time loop doesn't make sense in this universe. But something related to time and some time dilation or timelines or something like that is definitely possible. So I think
yeah, I think
that's
like we don't know. Like, the team for this movie was zombies.
mhm.
The team for the prequel is the Sith. What's the team for the animated show? Is there going to be a team for one of the movies that's just about robots?
Cast
Is there
is
one that's just going to
amazing.
be just is there going to be one that's just about aliens? You know, like we could. Is there just going to be a movie just about the time loop? We don't know yet because we only have one movie to go on. We don't know anything else, and that's why there's so many theories. But when we see the next movie or the prequel or the animated show, things will start to kind of that ball, as Zach said, won't have as much spikes on it. It'll become round and smooth and stuff. We'll get to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to see where it goes. So I'm not ruling out any of this stuff because there is signs of aliens, of robots, and of a time loop
Yep.
in this world. And it's not just a zombie heist movie. It's not.
Yeah.
There's
It's
much more
definitely
to
not.
this. Now, Zach could never touch the time loop theory again. It could just be a philosophical thing from Van der Rohe because of how he thinks and he presents himself. But Van der Rohe is going to be in the sequel. But if the time loop theory is brought into it, then it's an interesting thing. Is it done by aliens? Is it just something I got to do with the nuclear bomb? Who knows? But it's interesting to talk about and think about it because I'm not ruling any of this out. And the thing about the four, you can argue that the four is something, and you can also argue that it's nothing. We don't know yet.
I don't think the
But I
four
do
thing is
think,
very significant. I just think that it's a
yeah,
Same.
hint
Same.
to a hint to something major that's going on. I don't think that four
well, look,
is
there's
the thing to look out for.
yeah, like the say the four is to symbolize the four horsemen of the
Yeah.
apocalypse. Well, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, they symbolize famine, plague, death, and I forget the last one. Shit, I forget the last one. But that's what the
Zombies.
four horsemen. I think it's zombies. But basically, the fourth horseman, or maybe it's the first horseman, the main horseman. He treats everybody fairly, and he tries to lead through peace. And then people are thinking, why should we listen to the politicians and the government when we have this guy here who talks very nicely and he just wants peace in the world? So everybody follows this one guy, this other horseman, and then he causes absolute destruction in the world because he has everybody following him. So they'll do exactly what he says. That's similar to what zombies do. So I think it's interesting to think about. There's so much deep layer to this movie, and we don't know what's right or wrong right now. But Zach very much has thought this all out. He knows exactly what the sequel is. But I definitely think there is something there about the time loop, or some. It has to be because it's too big of a thing to just throw in there.
Yeah.
If it's never addressed again, then it's kind of just Zach putting it in there to throw us off for just the sake of throwing us off. I don't think he does that.
Exactly.
It will come back eventually. And I think people aren't respecting that this is a universe, not just a
Yeah.
one-off movie.
If
People are
it's a
treating this
one-off,
like
I would
Army of the
definitely
Dead.
lean more into the time loop actually.
Yeah, but like you could actually end this film and never have a sequel or a spin-off or a prequel, and I'd be okay with it because I think it's just a good
Yeah.
movie. But I want to see more of it. But yeah, I think I think will definitely be the time loop will be brought up again in some sort of theory.
Yeah, definitely. And then
I
yeah, go ahead.
I just want